Okay. Now, of course, we move to talk, about a new chapter, cost and cost minimization. Okay. So, cost is a very important concept. Of course, economists have a different, meaning of cost than non-economists. So, what does cost mean to non-economists? And what does cost mean to economists? To non-economists, of course, cost, for instance, non-economists such as managers of firms, uh, you know, policy analysts, politicians, consumers, they have their own, concept about cost. According to managers, who are, most experienced with cost, they think of cost as a monetary expense in their, in their income statement. Policy analysts and politicians, they think of cost, as an expense item in their budget statement. Same thing can be said about consumers. Consumers, they think of course as their monthly or weekly bills, and other expenses. Now, what about economists? Of course, economists have a broader or use a broader concept of cost. According to them, of course, cost is the value of sacrificed opportunities. Is the value of sacrificed opportunities. This is what actually mean or to economists. Therefore, cost, according to economists, mean, of course, the value of sacrificed opportunities. Let us illustrate, with some example to see exactly what this means. When we say that cost, according to economists, is the value of sacrificed opportunities, let's say, for instance, the question, what is the value, I give an example over here, the cost to a student, of course, of devoting 1 hour every week to watching a video about any topic of macroeconomics? What is the cost to a student who devotes, 1 hour every week, to watching a video about a certain topic in macroeconomics? Of course, he devoted 1 hour every week, but he could, he could have devoted that hour to doing something else. So the cost to a student, who devotes 1 hour every week to watching a video about a certain topic in economics is the value of whatever he would have done instead with that 1 hour. What do you think? He could have, he could have watched TV at home. He could have taken his, lunch if the hour that he devotes is at noon. Or he could have, taken his dinner if the hour he devoted to watching a video is in the evening. Okay, so so the value or the cost to you of devoting 1 hour every week watching a video about a certain topic in economics, or whatever topic, of course, is the value of whatever you would have done. Okay, therefore the the cost of that thing you do is in terms of another thing that you did not do or you could have done instead, of course, with that 1 hour devoted to watching a video. Okay? So, viewed this way, costs are not necessarily synonymous with monetary outlays. It's not the same as monetary outlays. Okay? Because not all costs involve direct monetary outlays. Therefore, because not all costs involve direct monetary outlays, that is cash, perhaps, not all costs involve this way or this, thing. Therefore, economists differentiate between two types of cost. We have explicit cost and implicit cost. Explicit cost, of course, we're talking about the direct, consists or involve a direct monetary outlays. I will give an example to illustrate what actually we mean by explicit cost, which involve a direct monetary outlays. Okay, for instance, buying a mobile, you pay the value of the mobile, $100 or $200. This is direct monetary outlays. You pay, for taking your dinner. You pay, $5. That $5 is a direct monetary outlays. This is explicit cost. Okay, the sum of the cost, incurred when doing something or when, doing something. Now, what about the implicit cost? Implicit costs do not involve outlays of cash. They are implicit. They don't involve any cash. So let's give an example to basically differentiate between these two costs. Example, let's say an airline company's expenditure on fuel and its flight crew salaries are explicit cost. The airline company, of course, it has to pay, its expenses as far as fuel. When it uses fuel, it has to pay for it in cash. Or, the salaries of its flight crew who are running the flight. So these salaries and the cost of fuel and the cost of other things such as food and water and drinks, all of these are explicit costs because they mean or they involve direct monetary outlays. Okay. Now what about the implicit costs? Now, of course, when a certain company is using its own plane, okay, that company could have, rented that plane and makes money, makes income. So when we're talking about the implicit cost, as you can see, the income it forfeits or gives up by not leasing its jet is an implicit cost. Because the company could have leased or rented its airplane to some other company and make income. However, this income is lost, is forfeited, is forgone, is given up, okay, when that firm is using its own jet. Okay, so implicit, of course, does not involve, don't involve outlays of cash. Okay, so when we're talking about implicit, we're talking about, the income that the firm did not earn it when it uses its own plane, because it could have leased that plane and makes income. However, the income now is forgone, okay, when that firm is use its plane, okay. That lost or forgone or forfeited income that the firm could have earned it is called, of course, the implicit cost. Total cost, of course, is the sum of the explicit cost plus implicit cost. Therefore, the sum total of the explicit cost and the implicit cost represent, what the airplane sacrifices when it takes the decision to fly one of its jets on a certain route. When the firm decides to, fly one of its jets, then it will, of course, that represents, of course, what the airline sacrifices, okay? The sum total of the explicit plus the implicit, okay? Represents, of course, what the airline sacrifices when it takes the decision to fly one of its jets on a certain route. Of course, it is something, it has to always, incur direct monetary outlays, explicit cost. But in addition to that, we have implicit cost. Okay? Now, therefore, the economist's notion that cost is the value of sacrificed opportunities is based on the concept of opportunity cost. Okay? It's based on the concept of opportunity cost. So, what actually do we mean when we say opportunity cost? Of course, opportunity cost is the value of the highest valued alternative foregone, of course, when another alternative is chosen. Suppose, a firm is having many alternatives, many exclusive alternatives, and of course each has its own monetary payoff. And the firm, decided to take, a certain alternative. The question, what is the opportunity cost of that alternative? So the opportunity cost of that alternative consists, of course, the opportunity cost is the value of the highest valued alternative foregone when another alternative is chosen. Let's say, for instance, we have, example here. You have A, B, C, D, E alternatives. And each of these alternatives has its own monetary payoff. Okay? Now, if I chose to decide this alternative, so the question, what is the opportunity cost of taking or using this alternative? Of course, the opportunity cost of choosing A is what? Is the value of the highest. The highest is the value of the highest valued alternative foregone. It is the value of the alternative of the other alternatives, that has the highest value. As I said, we have a bunch of alternatives, each with a certain monetary payoff. Let's say D, D has the highest monetary payoff. So, what is the opportunity cost of choosing, A? The opportunity cost of choosing A is the value of the highest valued alternative forgone. That is, what is the highest valued alternative forgone? It is D. So we say that D is the opportunity cost of choosing A. Choosing A. Let's say, for instance, to make it easier to understand, let's say, I come to class, or I have a live session at 12:30. But when you come to class at 12:30, you have a bunch of other alternatives. Each one will, depends. For instance, you have at 12:30 going and taking your lunch, having a nap, watching TV, talking to a friend. You have a bunch of alternatives. Now, the opportunity cost of you coming to attend the live session at 12:30 is the value of the highest valued alternative forgone. Of course, when you came to watch the video at to watch the live session at 12:30, you have given up, or you have, forfeited the other alternatives, such as watching TV, having a nap, taking a lunch. All these things have been forfeited. But to you, which alternative has the highest value, to watching this live session? Perhaps to you say, well, watching TV at 12:30 to see the news about what's going on in the south of Lebanon, okay, is, to me, has the highest value. Therefore, the opportunity cost of you coming to watch the live session at 12:30 is watching TV. Is watching TV. Why? Because to you, watching TV has the highest valued alternative to watching, the live session. Watching TV at 12:30 to watch the news at 12:30 has the highest valued alternative to you. Okay? So therefore, watching TV at 12:30 is the opportunity cost of, you coming to 12:30 watching the live session. Okay? So the opportunity cost is going to be in terms of the other, foregone alternative that has the highest payoff, the highest monetary, payoff. Now, here I gave an example, okay? For instance, I gave an example. So, and therefore here, the opportunity cost of an alternative consists of all of the explicit and implicit costs associated with that alternative. So I'll give you an example over here. Let's say if you continue your business, say that you run your own business and that you are thinking whether you continue to run the business or quit your business. To run the business or quit, if you continue your business, you need to pay $25,000. To pay $25,000, okay, to hire the services of employees, and $10,000, okay, to pay for the supplies that are needed to run the business. Since you are running the business, you need to devote 40 hours per week of your time. Your best alternative to running your business, your own business, is to work the same number of hours in a business firm for an income of $35,000 per year. Therefore, the opportunity cost of continuing to run the business over the next year is $70,000 per year. This includes the explicit cost. So what is the explicit cost? This is the sum of $25,000, which are the salaries of paid to workers, plus $10,000 to pay for supplies. So we cut here 25. Wait a minute over here. As you can see over here, the operating cost of continuing to run the business over the next year is $70,000. Of course, $70,000 is the sum of the explicit cost and the implicit cost. What are the explicit costs? Which are, the $25,000 over here plus $10,000 is $35,000. These are explicit costs. Okay, they are direct monetary outlays. Plus the implicit cost. The implicit cost, of course, here you have 40 hours that you are devoting in your business. But these 40 hours could be devoted by working in another business and earning how much? $35,000 per year. But when you run the business by yourself, you lost. You forfeited the $35,000 that you could have earned when going to work with another company. So the opportunity cost, therefore, is the sum of the explicit cost and the implicit cost, and which is equal, of course, $70,000. Okay. Now, of course, this is actually what this example is talking about. In other words, when you're talking about the opportunity cost of a certain act, is the sum total of the explicit cost and the implicit cost. Okay, so that basically gives you an important understanding of the meaning of opportunity cost, which is the sum of the sum total of explicit as well as implicit cost. Remember, we said that the economist notion of cost is the value of sacrifice opportunities. That concept or that notion that cost is the value of sacrifice opportunities is based on the concept of opportunity cost. And also we define opportunity cost as the opportunity cost of an alternative, we said, of course, is the payoff associated with the best of the alternatives that are not used. And so from that, we said that the opportunity cost of an alternative will cover the explicit as well as the implicit cost of that alternative. So here we're talking about, more details about the concept of opportunity cost. Okay, so the first one is that the concept of opportunity cost is forward-looking rather than, or not backward-looking, in that it measures the value that the decision maker the sacrifices at the time the decision is made and beyond. So in other words, what you are talking about here is that the opportunity cost of an alternative depends on the current market price of the good that is foregone. So let me illustrate this with an example. Say that there exists a company that specializes in the production of chairs and tables, and that it has an inventory of wood that it purchased for, let's say, $1,000. The firm is planning to use that wood to make good and service, to make chairs and tables. As an alternative, it could resell the wood to another company. Suppose that the market price of wood has gone up since the firm purchased the wood. Okay, so the firm could resell the wood and gain suppose if the firm resell the wood, it could get, let's say, $1,300. Okay, so the opportunity cost of using the wood is going to be $1,300. This is because the firm sacrifices $1,300 by not selling the wood to another company in the open market. Therefore, the opportunity cost here is different than the original expense. Now, okay, now of course, let us use the same example. Let's use the same example to illustrate the second concept concerning the opportunity cost. That second concept is saying the forward-looking nature of opportunity cost implies that the opportunity cost can change as time passes and circumstances change. Of course, let's use the same example of the firm, that purchased wood for $1,000. Okay, so when the firm first confronted the decision to purchase wood or do not purchase the wood, the relevant opportunity cost, of course, was the purchase price of wood, which is $1,000. This is because the firm could save $1,000 by not buying the wood. So now, as time passes, okay, and once the firm purchases the wood and the market price of wood it changes, okay, then the firm will face a different or confront a different decision. Use the wood to produce chairs and tables, or resell the wood in the open market. So the opportunity cost of using the wood in this instance is going to be $1,300, which is the payment that the firm sacrifices by not selling the wood in the open market. So as you can see here, same wood, same firm, but different opportunity cost. So therefore, the united feature of these examples and these two cases is that the opportunity cost is the current market price of wood. This is no coincidence, because from the firm's point of view, the opportunity cost of the services of an input is the current market price of the input. So, as I said, from the firm's point of view, the opportunity cost of using the services of an input is the current market price of the input. And this is basically everything, everything that relates to the concept of opportunity cost. Okay, now we have to differentiate between two types of cost, economic cost and accounting cost. Of course, when we say economic cost, we mean that economic costs are the ones that are synonymous with opportunity cost. We have already talked about opportunity cost. So economic cost, therefore, consists of, the relevant decision, explicit and implicit cost. Because opportunity cost consists of the explicit and implicit cost. So when we say economic cost, we mean not just the explicit cost, okay, but also the implicit cost. So it is the sum of explicit and implicit cost. Now, what about the accounting cost? Of course, accounting costs are costs that would appear on the, of course, accounting statements, okay? And they are the explicit costs that have already been incurred in the past. Now, let me just, elaborate more on accounting costs. As you can see, accounting costs consist of the, explicit costs that have already been incurred in the past. And usually these accounting costs are designed to serve, outside audience, okay, audience from outside the firm, such as, equity investors or lenders. So that's why these costs, accounting costs, must be objectively verifiable. That is, they should include only, historical expenses. Okay? That historical expenses, in other words, they should include, explicit, cash outlays that have already been made. Why? Because, as you can see, outside audiences, such as lenders or equity investors who wants to invest in the firm, or lenders who wants to, make loans to the firm, they should have an idea, okay, about the strength of the firm, and that in terms of this accounting, accounting, of course, or accounting balance. Okay, therefore, when they have some idea about their accounting statements, they can decide whether to invest in the firm or whether to not to invest, or to make loans to the firm or not. That is based upon what? About, based upon the, the explicit, cash outlays that have been already made in the firm, the amount of, money that the firm spent on, let's say, materials and labor. So that's why accounting, of course, costs only include, therefore, the explicit costs that have already been incurred by the firm. Okay, it talks about, historical expenses. Okay, and these are important for any outside audience, such as lenders or equity investors, to know about them. Okay, before they, engage in investment or, making any loan to the firm. Okay, now, of course, now we move to talk about, of course, also, when we want to analyze costs, also we need to differentiate between other types of costs, namely sunk cost and non-sunk cost. When we're talking about sunk cost, we're talking about that costs that are unavoidable. Okay, that are the costs that the firm cannot avoid. Okay, the firm cannot recover. These are the sunk costs. The of course, the non-sunk cost, or the costs that the firm can recover, or the costs that are, unavoidable. Okay, therefore the non-sunk costs are the costs that can be recovered or are avoidable costs. Okay, now, and only the non-sunk costs are the costs that are only incurred if a certain decision is made. Let me just show with a simple example the difference between sunk costs and non-sunk costs. Okay, let's say, for instance, you, somebody who likes to watch, or see singing parties. So you pay $25, let's say, that you pay $25 to go see a singing party. Let's say that 20 minutes or 30 minutes into the singing party, you realize that of course, the party is boring and not interesting. Okay? So what you do? So in that instance, you have a choice. Okay? That choice is that, should you stay or leave? Should you stay in the singing party or leave? Now, the relevant cost of staying is that you continue to see the non-interesting party, okay, doing nothing, because you know, according to you, that the singing party is boring and it's not interesting. Okay? Now, what about the relevant cost of leaving? The relevant cost of leaving is that you have already paid $25. So the relevant cost of leaving, of course, does not include the $25 admission fee. Okay, you have already paid that. So, so this $25, no matter what you do, okay, you have already paid $25. So your decision to leave, okay, is irrelevant or the $25 that you have already paid is irrelevant to your decision to leave. Therefore, the $25 is sunk cost because you cannot recover that. Okay. Now, also we can give another example. Okay, so here what I'm saying, when evaluating alternative decision, the decision maker should ignore sunk cost because, the $25 you have already paid has become what? Irrelevant to your decision to leave the party. So therefore, when evaluating alternative decision, the decision maker should ignore sunk cost and take into consideration only non-sunk cost. Now, we can give another example to differentiate between sunk and non-sunk cost. Let's say we have a firm that specializes in the making of a certain type of furniture. Okay, and this firm is, thinking about building a certain factory to make this type of furniture. Assume that the factory that the firm is contemplating to make, costs $100,000. And assume that the factory has no any alternative uses. Okay? In other words, when the firm shut down the factory, it recovers nothing. Now, we have here two steps, okay, in the process of, building the factory, okay? And now these two processes, first, we have two processes. We have two processes. First, in deciding to build the factory. In deciding to build the factory, of course, the $100,000 is non-sunk. Why? You are thinking about whether to build the factory or not. So the $100,000, the cost of building the factory is non-sunk. Why? The firm could easily avoid the $100,000, if this firm decides not to build the factory. Therefore, the $100,000 is non-sunk. That is, in deciding to build the factory, the firm is contemplating, is thinking about whether to build the factory or not. So in that process, the $100,000 is non-sunk because the firm could easily avoid, paying the $100,000, okay, if it decides not to build the factory. Now, two, of course, after the factory is built. Now, after the factory is built, the $100,000 is sunk. Why? Because the factory has already been built. Therefore, the $100,000 have already been spent, and therefore these $100,000 is sunk. The $100,000 are sunk. That is, the firm cannot recover them. They are, unavoidable. Okay? So here, what is the lesson we learn from this example? Is that whether a cost here, this example basically illustrates that whether a cost is sunk or non-sunk depends on the decision that is being contemplated.